Okay, so the next sugya, we're at the bottom of Chof Gimel Beis, and we're going to learn here about tefillin. Boy minei Rav Yosef Breida Nechunya. Yeah? So up to the bottom. Boy minei Rav Yosef Breida Nechunya Rav Yehuda. He asked him the following question. A person is going to sleep. And I would like to keep my tefillin in a safe place. So may I put the tefillin under my head while I sleep? Tachas me'roishav. What about tachas margaloisav, under my feet? Sorry. Tachas margaloisav, that's of course not. Shenoi b'binim mizayin. Ki kami boy tachas me'roishav. My. Can I put it under my head? So this. Shmuel says yes, it's permissible. Not only is that permissible, because again, he's doing this to guard his tefillin. He's going to keep it so he knows exactly where his tefillin are, so he can watch them. I feel ishta imay, even though he's it's at night and he's with his wife, so it's still permissible. On that we ask kasha. Now here it says in the Brisa, it does also agree that yes, tachas b'rishaysav. But it says but if his wife that's bizayin already, it could come to tashmish or something, and therefore it is forbidden to leave your tefillin there. Mokum Gavoya, Mokum Gavoya, Gimel Tvachim, it was in different rishus. It's in a place that has 3 Tvachim. 3 Tvachim high, or Namak Gimel Tvachim Mutter. That's called a different rishut. That's not called by this bed. Tiyufta de Shmuel Tiyufta. So Shmuel is disproved. Amarava Avagam de Tiyufta de Shmuel, even though it's Tiyufta, Hal Hichus HaKavaseh. Sometimes we say Tiyufta Hal Hichus HaKavaseh. My timer, since his goal here is to protect his tefillin, it's anything linterino is tvei adif mi bizyayne, and to degrade the tefillin. Okay. So therefore, it's protecting takes more precedence of the bizayin of where you're putting it. So exactly, you say you can put it under his head. What does that mean? Ben kar the kesses. He puts it on the pillow, between the pillow and the sheet. Puts it. Now, not directly under his head either. He puts it. It's on the pillow, but it's not. It's on the pillow, not directly under his head. Now, Rav Chia said, you put it, so-called the koiva. The koiva is the kis. And again, it seems like it's like a bag for the tefillin. Now here it seems like that in fact it is under his head in this akasha. And the more answers, the mapikle the musha, the koiva of the bar, the tefillin stick out, like they stick out of the kis outside, and therefore they're not directly under his head. The kis is under his head, but the tefillin are on the side, like are pushed to the end of the kis, and they're not directly under his head. Yeah, that's just for this also. Okay. So he did something else, a similar idea but slightly different. He took tefillin and he there was the bed had like a canopy, so they made the beds, old beds, and he would tie it. He would tie it in the curtain. He would like wrap the curtain together and make some type of tie, and tefillin would be. Aaron on the top of Chav Daled Amud Aleph. So he would tie the tefillin. So Bakar Tzirle Bekilto Mapik L'Mushon, and he would it would stick out. It actually says the knot of the tefillin would be outside on the outside of the curtain of the bed. So you wouldn't even see the tefillin at all. You wouldn't notice the tefillin at all inside the area of the bed. It would be more noticeable on the outside. Mapik the Meshayah and the bar. With the sticking out part of the tefillin was on the outside. Similarly, Rav Shisha Perei Davidi, Manoch Tefillin Asher Shifa, he put it on. He would take the tefillin. Again, this is in his bedroom. He would take it off and he would put it on a bench. Upar Sudra layer. He would cover it with a sudra. Which this is more close to the actual halacha, where the tefillin has to be covered kis b'tech kis. It has to be double covered inside, and if there's in a bedroom. Amar Rav Amuna B'rei Rav Yosef Zimna Chada Have Keimna Kamei De Rava V'Amar Zil Aisli Tefillin. Go bring my tefillin. He was a Talmud. He told his Talmud, I was by Rava, and Rava told me, I forgot my tefillin. Go to the bedroom and bring my tefillin. And he found it over there under the pillow. Now, it wasn't Neged Roisha. He was careful not to put it Neged Roisha. And it was between the car and the kesses. I knew that it was Ishta Imai. It was Yom Tvila, so it was a mitzvah for him to be with his wife. And yet he kept his tefillin, I feel Ishta Imai, like Shmuel said. This is exactly like Shmuel said. So why did he send me to bring the tefillin? It was actually to teach him the halacha, that this is how it's permissible to keep a tefillin. Again, it's in order to protect your tefillin. Okay, the Adkan is the discussion. Tefillin, we now go on to a new discussion. We're going to now discuss different dinim of erva. You have two people. We'll see if in the context in a minute. It's two men. It used to be sometimes the houses were crowded, and people were sleeping in the same bed. There was no room, so there was no choice. People had to squeeze together. Sometimes his families were sleeping in a bed, whatever it was. So this brings in different shilas of when it's permissible to say Kriya Shema. Okay, so now we're also, by the way, we're saying people weren't necessarily dressed. They didn't have so many options of what to wear when going to bed, so they didn't have clothes. So there are two people in bed, and now they want to say Kriya Shema. So now the problem is, there's again, we'll see in the sugya, that you cannot. The Torah says that a person cannot say Kriya Shema in front of erva. When his erva is revealed, when someone else's erva is revealed. Now, so obviously you have to solve that problem. That's what Taisa speaks about over here. That's basic. So they're both under a bed, but he has to be covered up. His erva he has to cover up his lave, and his erva cover up. It's not revealed. That's for sure. But the problem is that there's someone else. There's two people that have erva here. So the shaila is, so they certainly can't say Kriya Shema when the erva is both in proximity. Rashi explains there's something called Herer Nigias Erva, that a person might have awareness of someone else's erva, and that's what that Herer is forbids a person to say Kriya Shema. Okay, so now what is the shaila? The shaila is Ma'u shezeh yachzer panav v'yikra Kriya Shema. Let each person turn around, facing the other direction from the other person, and say Kriya Shema. Yeah, that's not a problem. Not only are we not a problem if he's with some other family member, some person, two males, but even I feel ishta imay, even if it's his wife in the bed, as long as they turn around, even though the ervas are revealed, we're talking about where the people are uncovered inside the bed. But if they would turn around, so the ervas are not facing each other, so then you could say Kriya Shema. What do you mean? I understand your words. Ishtoi, you said when you afilu adrabba. The halacha, as far as saying Kriya Shema, is more lenient towards Ishtoi. Ishtoi kegufay. Rashi explains. He's ragilba. His wife he sees all the time. He sleeps in the bed with her all the time. This is normal. So achar lav kegufay. But on a regular person, it's not to the same extent. It's not Ishtoi kegufay. So therefore, he implies basically he agrees. Maybe your side is correct. Maybe it's true that Ishtoi, but not afilu Ishtoi. If anything, Ishtoi is more lenient, and she may be mutter, but not necessarily somebody else. Meisavei. Shnayim shishenim b'mita achas. So here we have a Bryce that basically says this halacha. Zemachsu panav v'koyim. Zemachsu panav v'koyim. Okay, that's one. Now we're gonna the punchline though is not just from that Bryce. We're going to see a contradiction. There's another Bryce that says and the family is sleeping with him in the bed. So here we clearly obligate an additional chumrah here. This according to Brisa. Again, it's a chumrah. There's the additional requirement in this Brisa that you separate different people that are undressed with some type of talus, with a cover. So now the question now becomes, again, we haven't get into the punchline to the question, but at this point we want to know how are we going to reconcile, how are we going to explain the contradiction in these two brises. So Pishlav Rav Yosef Lekasha, according to Rav Yosef, who learns that Ishtoi is more kal, so we have a solution. We can say as follows: Habi Ishtoi, Haba Acher. So when we say in the Shnayim Yishenim B'mita, no problem, so that's Ishtoi. When we talk about the family in the bed, we'll check if I say that right. Yeah. When we talk about the family members in the bed, and that requires a talus, that's not Ishta. If it's just Ishta, he's Ragiba, so then it's enough just to turn around and face the other way. If it's someone else, so you require more. That's according to Yosef. But the Shmuel, we have a contradiction. There exists no such distinction between Ishta and anyone else, according to Shmuel. Shmuel Kasha. Shmuel Rav Yosef. Meaning, you can understand. How can you be satisfied with your pshat? It says over there, Ubnei Beisai B'mita. Lika Kriyashman, can I say Tali Yisrael 6 It says B'nei Beisai. So how are you going to learn that? Elamaisel Meimer Ishtai Yosef Tanohi. Why? Because it says that B'nei Beisai, it says your family, the whole family. The whole family is there, and your wife is included. So she's included, and yet she's included in the dinim of requiring talus. So that can't be the distinction either. How are you going to learn? How are you going to learn the chilik, the two brises, right? El ma'asu l'meimer. So what must you say? Ishta is tanai. So it must be that. In other words, I agree with you. There has to be the chilik. In other words, what else could it be? Why one time require a talus? One time not? Must be, but that must be itself a machlokes tanaim. According to the first Tana, Ishtoi, more mekel. According to the second Tana, they actually argue in a similar machlokes. You have to say that's what they argue. You have to also agree. In other words, you have to agree to Shmuel that somebody out there is buying into this chilik that Ishtoi is more chomer. It's not so pashut. It's a machlokes. The second brisa holds Ishtoi is chomer also. So Ishtoi of Yosef tonight. So at least even you have to agree it's a tonight. It's two different opinions. Only dinami tonight. So once you say it's a so I also say that. Also, I'll say the same thing. It's two different opinions, and I agree that there's a brisa later on that says Ishto needs no sekas talis. I agree. The dinami Rashi says. I'm sorry. According to me, I agree. It won't be a machlokes and Ishtoi. It'll be. I'll learn even better. I'll learn. They're both talking about everybody. But it's just two. One just says b'nei beisa, one says acher. It doesn't make a difference. We're not talking Ishto necessarily. We're not differentiating at all between Ishto and anybody else. And it's machlokes tanoim where the halacha there's two tanoim, and they argue on a simple point. What is required to say Kriya Shema? Is it required to have Sukkos Talis, or is it required Machzor Panav? Is it enough just to turn your head? Zok the Gemara weiter, Omemar. So now we're going to analyze one more point about this, how this works. Zeh Machzor Panav. Required Kriya Shema. Effectively, Gemara, 1 second. But if the two people are dressed and they turn around for Ika Agavos, there's the bottom of the person. There's still the bottom, the back, right? The bottom of the person. Which sticks out a little bit, and it's actually Rashi says that it's actually might even be touching when a person turns around. The beds, assuming these beds are not such huge beds here, they can barely have a place to sleep, so they're stuck in the same bed. Their gavus are in contact. So why is that permissible? Why is that? Why? What's the difference? What's the difference if they're turning around or their backs are touching each other? There's a gavus. So Messiah, Rav Huna, Agavos ein behem bishum erva. The behind of the person is not called erva. That's not erva. And we'll see an example of this. We'll see another nafkamina. Lema Messiah Rav Huna. Rav says the following: a woman, a yisha yeshevis v'koitz l'chalas. A woman, she is not dressed properly. She's not dressed at all, really, and she needs to take challah though. She has to take challah, and she needs to make a bracha. So what does she do? So the halacha says that even though we'll see sugis later on, that a man who's erva, we'll see it here right here. Actually, we'll see the halacha is clear something. I should say the halacha is both true by man and woman. You cannot make a bracha. We saw this earlier. Had a Gemara, right? Or that was something else, but. The halacha is you may not make a bracha, like I said, lo yireh b'cheres davar. You can't say Kriya Shema, you can make a bracha if a person's erva is revealed. You can't make a bracha. So what's going on over here? The woman is sitting. She's taking a challah, which means she's making a bracha. Aruma, undressed. Now why? Because a woman physically, the way a woman can sit is that she could physically sit in such a way where her erva, her paneha, that means the erva, the front of her, the erva is bekarka. So it's technically covered, it's not revealed. Halachically, it's revealed, it's covered. Avalo ish. But a man, physically, there's no way a man, the way the man's part, because his parts of erva naturally are boilate, they stick out, there's no way a man, if he's undressed, can ever take a bracha. It's not physically possible. But if so what's the proof we want to extract from here? So we see though the behind of the woman, which cannot, how can that be? It's just sitting and be covered, and yet she could take truma, she could take tzchala. Why? Teretz says that's not called erva. It was the same way. We don't halachically define that as erva. What the Torah says. Lo yireh lecha ba'ervas davar, that means that specific part of the person, which is the erva. It doesn't include other parts which are normally covered necessarily. We'll see there are dini derabanan on those parts also, but that's not essentially erva, and therefore So by the same token, we say that turning around in the bed, even though those parts of the body are still in contact with each other, that's not called erva, and therefore doesn't have the same dinim as the erva when two people are facing each other. So the Gemara says it's not a raya then. The Gemara just says Tirgema. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak and Shahi Paneh Tuchas B'Karka. No, it could. It's not a raya from the woman taking challah. It very well could be that she's somewhat immersed in the dirt and the sand. That even that part of her body is more or less covered. Zakti Gemara Amamar. Now, this whole discussion of being in the bed with other people, with other family members, that's only when they're gedolim. But the tanim, if they're still children, it's mutter. So what defines an adult and a children? Klapi this halacha of here erva. At kama omar Christa. So here it depends on the age of roy labia. Tinoik is pashlo shanim v'yom echad. For tinoik and a male, a boy, a girl 3, and a boy ben tesha shanim v'yom echad 9. Ikadabri. Another opinion is Tinok is Bas Yud Aleph Shana. No, she has to be close enough to maturity, to physical maturity. That's 11 years in one day. Tinok is Ben Shtemis, so he has to be 12 years. That's physical maturity. And that's also assuming they've reached, both the boy and the girl, according to the second opinion, have reached physical maturity. The women's shadayim, the breasts already developed, and the man, or both the woman and the man, have hairs growing in their body. That's when the Torah, when the halacha is concerned with erva. So now we just said, right? We just learned on Amud Beis by the tefillin that it's a tufta to Shmuel, but the halacha is like Shmuel. What about here? Here also, we disproved Shmuel. We had a big kasha on him, even though over here we answered it up, but we had a kasha on him. What's the halacha? Hachamai, I understand. Just because over here in tefillin, under his pillow, we paskin like Shmuel, does not obligate us to paskin like Shmuel in the issue that Ishtay is the same as everybody else. Can I not extrapolate from one place to the other place? Or when I'm married, or papa, sar yoytze bebigda. What about if a person has sar of his erva? It means over here, which is shutting out of his beged. His beged is for some reason he can't cover his body completely. And there's some of the hair of the erva coming out. It's not erva mamish. Is that called la yerecha erva's dover? That's called erva, and you can't say kriya shema mau. Karla is sayasar. They said that's just hair. That's not. We're talking about erva. Okay, fine. We'll stop here. Let's later.